I wanted to talk about this one habit that if you implement in your life on a daily basis will change your life, not just financially speaking, but just how you actually feel. How you will be more successful in your life by changing this because it changes your mind. And to set this up, I want to think about how we measure things, right? So, say, for example, you have this way you're supposed to eat food, right? You believe there's a certain way you're supposed to eat food to maintain or have the lifestyle and or look and or energy or health or vibrance in your life by eating and exercising in a certain way. And say it's somebody's birthday at work and there's donuts there and you have donuts, and then what do you start to do? You start to take a measurement to see that, like, my mind, there's this ideal of how I'm supposed to have my diet. And I just had 2 donuts. I shoveled that shit into my mouth hole. And you don't feel good, right? Because you have an ideal and you're measuring yourself against your ideal. Or maybe you're like me and you like to write lists, right? And every day you write a list for work about the things that you want to accomplish or do for yourself. And life goes on. And by the end of the day, you did one thing on your list, right? Or maybe 3 things on your list, and you have a list of 20 things to do. And you look back at that and you're like, damn, I had all day today. And I was doing that other thing or effing around here, wasting time there. And you're thinking about that, right? And you create those feelings in you. Now you create this one habit, right? The ideal is accomplishing that whole list. That ideal is eating that certain way with your diet to live your lifestyle. Maybe the ideal is not arguing or creating tension or bad environments in your home with your wife and or kids or relationship that you're in. That ideal is similar to the horizon. Take a second and look out the window, or if you're driving or whatever, look outside. You can see the horizon, right? The furthest point away. That is the ideal in your mind, as an analogy. You can see out this window. I get to see how far away the horizon is. That's the ideal of how I'm supposed to be eating, how I'm supposed to be exercising, how I'm supposed to be living. That's the ideal of accomplishing all 20 things on my list every single day. And similar to the horizon, your ideal is always in the future. Always. So take this, for example. If I walk 100 miles that direction towards the horizon, and then I look up and I look for the horizon, where's the horizon going to be? It's still going to be in the future. And then I take another 100 miles and I walk even closer to the horizon. And then I look up. Where's the horizon going to be? It's still going to be 100 miles away because it's always in the future. So this habit, go through, and I started doing this. I have no idea when I started doing this. I started doing this in little micro habits and like my teens and like without even realizing what I was doing. Change how you recognize things. So instead of measuring the ideal to where you are, look at the past and where you are. Because then you change the psychology. When you look at the future and you're like, I should be making millions of dollars, right? I should be making millions of dollars a month right now. And I'm not, right? There's a gap there. So instead of measuring the gap from the ideal to where I am, measure from the past to where I am. So you get to see the growth. So instead of measuring the gap, that your ideal and yourself, which you'll never reach your ideal. If your ideal is, hey, making $1 million a year, when you get there, you know what your ideal is going to be? 10 million. Your ideal will always live in the future. So change this one thing and do it on a daily basis. On a daily basis. Change how you measure your success. Not in relation to your ideal, but in relation to your past. And if you think like, oh, yesterday I did better than today, increase the time frame, because then you create perspective. What was I doing 10 years ago? What have I grown? How have I changed? How have I improved in the last 10 years? Right? And as you do this, you can compress this time frame from 10 years out to maybe 3 years out, to maybe a year ago, or 6 months ago, or 3 months ago. And you do this on a daily basis. You can literally do this in bed right before you go to bed. You'd be like, okay, cool. Let me think about that one measurement thing that was positive, because you can go through and positively measure everything. Your past, as much as you may not want to believe this, your past is all just made up. All of it. And one way you can kind of like think about how your past is made up is that the way you remember your past is fluid, like a river. It moves. So as you move through the journey of life, your past looks different because you're at a different point. Similar to me looking outside the window and seeing what's outside the window versus me being outside of the house and looking out there. I see two different things. Still my past. But one is me sitting here, one of me is outside. So when you go to look in your past and you hear yourself talking shit about yourself and whatever it is that you're working towards or your ideal, think about how you're measuring that thing so you create positives in everything that you do. There's plenty of research that shows that positive people who frame things in a positive way, live longer. They did a study of nurses. I think it was nurses or nuns. They had a bunch of nuns, that weren't doing it, and a bunch of nuns that were, and they followed them throughout their life. And the ones who were doing it had a positive like reference on life, lived about 10 years on average longer. So if you just care about your longevity, right, then you can shift how you think about things to measure things in a positive way. This one habit, do it on a daily basis. Instead of looking at my list of 20 things that I need to accomplish, and I only knocked out 3 of those 20 things, look at the wins that I had for the day so that I can put it in a positive way, so that I can measure that in a positive way. Because as you start to do this, as you create this habit in your life, it takes time, it takes effort. But as you go through and do this, you create more success and more joy. How do you do that? Because what happens in your life if you're thinking about the gap, the ideal versus where you are? You're thinking about yourself in a deficient manner. You didn't get there. You're not good enough. You dropped the ball 26 effing times today. I'm doing whatever it is. Now, when you change this and you start measuring relative to where you were 6 months ago or 6 years ago or 6 days ago, and how you improve, and you're always looking for that improvement, you're always looking for that success that you created, what happens? You create more success because you've changed your mindset about the way you view the world. And what does success breed? Like the happiness or joy or fulfillment or forward momentum in your life. And before you know it, you have month after month after month after month after month after month that is successful. And then it turns into years of success. You have year after year of success because you're living in that time period. You're living in the moment that is success because you're creating success instead of creating that failure mindset, creating that gap mindset. Live in success by measuring it against the past, measuring against the other thing, and looking for those positive moments. So if you guys liked this, or you thought this whole entire show was valuable, take a second. There's a little arrow down below. Share this out with some other people that you think can get value from this. This way, you're helping them out. You're helping us out, and it would be super appreciated. And if you want to catch us the next show, it'll be tomorrow at 11 a.m. EST. We'll see you then.
You already know what time it is. Crypt in the morning. Crypt in the morning. Crypt in the morning. Waiting on phone. Crypt in the morning. 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 Waiting on am, I'm already tuned in. Got me some hex and I'm making a stake. Got me some hedron, I'm making it rain. Pay me some maxi and that just in case. Jim ready to send me to show you the way. D5 Pro, yeah. Crypto in the morning.